Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
It's a great day to be alive here. Thank you for choosing Swim Lessons, the podcast. My name is Dallas Hanson. Appreciate you joining us. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Share this one with friends and family because it is a good one. My guest today is the head girls basketball coach of the Minot High Majettes, Jason Schwarz. Coach Schwarz and I talked for a very long time about building up this program for Minot High, some of the great players he has in this program. And I just love talking to him because he's a basketball cat. He knows so much about the game, how to build up a program, and I really appreciate his time, and I wish Minot High the best as they go into the WDA. And one of the fantastic players is Lily Bell, but the teammates around her, Maggie Fricky, Lamore, all these great players. So make sure you check them out at Minot High and all their social media. But before we get to Coach Schwarz, we got to talk about Planet Pizza. They let us film here, so appreciate Planet Pizza, and also Sports on Tap. Tony Mueller and the gang here let us come in. So make sure if you're in Minot, Planet Pizza, they've got the arcade here for kids. And then on the other side, they've got the best sports venue to catch a game. College basketball's coming up here, March Madness. Come to Sports on Tap. Check them out. Just a simple Google search. And best pizza, hands down, in North Dakota is Planet Pizza. Next up is PSP Network. It's game day. They've been promoting local student athletes for a very long time. Right now, they are in the heart of tournament season. So whether you're a hockey fan or a basketball fan, PSP has everything you need and more. Check out their YouTube at PSP Network. That's Nick Holberg and the crew. And I'm going to be doing some games for them too. And we've got this really cool thing planned for the WDA with kind of a NBA on TNT style thing. So hopefully that comes true. But the big thing you got to do is go to www.psp.network. Check out all the lists of the games they got. It's pretty cheap, so just buy one of those packages and enjoy it right from the comfort of your own home. Really appreciate Nick Holberg and his crew doing a job, letting me come on board, call some games. So check out PSP Network. Next up, River's Edge Bar and Grill. They are known for offering the best happy hour in town, providing unbeatable deals in a lively atmosphere. Guests can also enjoy a variety of entertaining activities, including bingo, trivia, and the very popular Name That Tune. Come on down to River's Edge for great drinks, great food, and great fun. And then Glosso Angus. Yeah, Glosso Angus, a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons. They are your premier source for registered black Angus cattle since 1973. Glosso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility, and they're built to thrive on the northern plains. That's Glosso, Glasoe, Angus.com. Hey folks, also make sure you check out Plains Window Cleaning, interior and exterior window cleaning on residential and commercial buildings throughout North Dakota. Call Jacob today at 701-609-0405. Again, that's Jacob Broughton at Plains Window Cleaning. And then last but not least, Game Day Media. More than a game. Your leader in live video sports coverage in Northwest North Dakota. At Game Day Media, our goal is to expose, support, and promote the best athletes that North Dakota has to offer. Subscribe to our channel at Game Day Media ND on YouTube. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Media for schedules, quick links to game stats, everything you need for that favorite student athlete of yours. Appreciate all the sponsors. They're the best. But now I give you the head girls basketball coach for Minot High, Jason Schwarz. Coach, thanks for taking some time today. Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I had no idea you were coaching at Kenmare for a while.
Yes, sir.
How was that?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and I like to think that that had something to do with me getting my current job. You coach long enough, eventually somebody's not going to want you around wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that was the case. You know, I was in Berthold right before that. And had some really good kids coming up. Some kids I was really looking forward to coaching, and they were all into basketball, you know, and it just didn't work out anymore. And so a lot of times I tell our kids whenever something bad happens, sometimes it's for a reason, and you don't know what it is at the current time, but over time, you probably are going to figure out, okay, that's why that happened. But it kind of sucked in the moment, you know, and Yeah, I didn't want to leave. I really enjoyed my time there. And like I said, there was a really, really good group coming up.
Yeah.
And within a couple of years, that group was playing in a state championship, so you could see that coming. But I was fortunate enough to, see an opening in Kenmare for their girls program. I knew they had a really good program there. And their principal and athletic director, Arnie Jordan, at the time, was also, a basketball coach there. And I coached against him when I was in Berthold. He was the boys coach for a while.
Oh, wow.
And so anyway, I applied for the job, and he goes, yeah, we'd love to have you. And he said, I'd probably be your assistant coach if you'd have me. And I'm like, absolutely.
Oh, nice.
Right. And so it worked out great. And I just fell into a great position, great kids. I would not, and here's kind of why you don't understand why things happen. I wouldn't trade that whole experience as it was happening, knowing what I know now in the future. I wouldn't trade that for anything, because the kids I got to know, the people I got to know in Kenmare, was an unbelievable experience. And sometimes you just need that. One door closes, another one opens, and it did for me. And then went to Kenmare and had an unbelievable experience. I'm still in contact with some of those people, or whenever I run into them. I'm so thankful, and I think having that job, or that girl's job, helped me get this one. And so I like to share that story sometimes why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? We got a couple of kids that have had some horrible injuries for our team this year, and they're going through a really bad thing, and maybe it's for a bigger purpose. Who knows? We all have to deal with tough things in life sometimes. And I think, when kids have to go through and push through something tough in their life when they're younger, and they figure out how to deal with that, the tough things you got to deal with later on in life are so much easier to deal with when you've had to do things similar to that before. And so maybe that's what that's for those two. I don't know. But they'll figure it out at some point later on in life. But yeah, it was a great experience in Kenmare, and I love touching base with some of the people up there whenever I see them, or we talk about the good old days, right? But yeah, it was a fun time for me.
Well, the door that opened up, Minot High job, I mean, the run you guys have been on is phenomenal. Take us to your first year when you do get the head job, and you're like, okay, I've not only got a solid group here, but this is a group that can really take me to not only the next level as a coach, but take this program to multiple state championships, and take this program to kind of, oh man, Minot High's in town. This is going to be a tough game.
Yeah, it wasn't that way at first.
Really?
No, I was a sophomore coach for a year, the JV coach for 3 years. And so there was about 2 years before I got the head job, we won 3 games that year. Yeah. And so and you experience a little bit more at the Class B level, the ups and downs, and that's it. And the Class A level, you maybe don't see that as much, but you do. It's still there too. So you go through, some dry years and some better years. And it was really tough, because we had a group of kids that, man, they worked so hard, and they would work so hard for half a game or half of a half, and they did everything they could, but we just didn't have the talent that most of the other teams had in the WDA. And so it was really tough. And I remind our girls, matter of fact, we had one of those girls stop in for a visit not too long ago at practice. And I just, hey, will you share a few words for us at practice? And she brought that up, like, I don't know if it was her junior year or her senior year, she goes, we won 3 games. And that was a tough time, right? And so slowly, my first year, we still, the previous year, we lost a play-in game at Williston, and the girls don't believe that either. Like, you guys lost to Williston?
Yeah.
Well, there's been times Williston's been really good. Like, you go there, and they have a banner in their gym that says the year they won a state championship. Like, every school at one time or another has been really good. Yep. Yeah, and sometimes they just don't know that or understand that. And so, the first year we had to play a play-in game, and we lost. Or excuse me, no, we were in it was a COVID year.
Okay.
And we had to travel to, we didn't have the WDA at Bismarck Event Center, so we had to travel to the higher seeds home gym, and we went to Watford City and lost, and then we had to go down to Bismarck Legacy and play down there, and that was Maggie Fricke's 7th grade year, and and we lost that, so we were out 2 games, boom, we're out. And out of the WDA tournament. And so one of the things that in my time as either the JV coach or the head coach that first year, like we hadn't got on the main floor at the Bismarck Event Center. Like you got to win your first game on the girls' side anyway to get in that gym. And we had like there's some things, some steps that we wanted to accomplish. Like, all right, we got to win the first game. Let's get to the main court, the main gym. So by my second year, we did, and so baby steps. We got little things that we wanted to accomplish along the way. So yeah, my first year as a head coach, we had a group and I sat down, we had 6 seniors and I had a plan that I was going to try to help turn things around. So I said, all right, I want to get together with you guys. Let's go grab some dinner somewhere and I'll buy dinner and we need to sit down and talk. So we had to do it a little bit later at night. One of the girls was out of town. And so I said, well, about the only thing that's going to be open is a truck stop. So I'll meet you guys at a truck stop at like 8:30. And so we sat down for a good hour and a half, whatever it was. And I just, had a list of things. And I said, you guys have to be the ones that try to get this program turned around. And it was really hard to see beyond 1 year. Like this is what we're going to try to do. But, we didn't envision Maggie Fricky.
Right.
And what she was or was going to become, or even Lily, because we didn't know when she was going to join us or join our program or how good she was going to be. They're pretty good as young kids, but they're still young kids. Like so, it was really hard to see us getting to where we've got to, really, and things just really kind of came together that second year.
Hey folks, hope you are enjoying this episode. But support for Swim Lessons, the podcast, comes from Brandon Weber, your Edward Jones financial advisor at 1600 2nd Avenue Southeast, Minot, North Dakota. For more information, visit edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Maggie was an 8th grader, and then Lily joins us, and we did not foresee the success that we had right away. But man, we got things turned around real quick, and those two were, spearheading that for us. But yeah, it's
you won state that year, right?
Yeah.
As Maggie was an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. And
what was that feeling like?
She was a state tournament MVP.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Incredible.
8th grader.
Yeah.
And she just signed with UND. Shout out Maggie Fricky.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. 8th grader.
So that year, and she had a really tough year, her 7th grade year. There were times that we had to have talks with Maggie as she's like crying. We're like, okay, you're still a 7th grader. Yeah, you're talented, but she got assignments with the toughest players in the WDA. And we're just like, this is going to, one of those things again, this is going to make you better in the future. You're going through something tough for something later on. And so that was just another example. And so it helped her 8th grade year. Like she had the toughest assignment you could have. Bismarck Century, one of the Fridley sisters was all over her. Those first 2 years, and by going through 2 full seasons of that, and then by the time at the end of her second year rolls around, we get into tournament time. All right, I can handle this now. And so she went after it gangbusters in that state tournament game. Just a week earlier, we got spanked around pretty good by Bismarck Century in the championship game of the WDA, and they beat us, I don't know, it's like 20 or 30 points. And we just talked to our kids, and you got to have a belief that we can turn things around. We can play much differently. We're gonna have a little bit of a different game plan a week later should we match up with them. And so much can change in the course of a week. There's, teams, sometimes they do really well in one tournament, and then a week later, and we've experienced a little bit of that ourselves as well. We know what that's like. So yeah, it was a magical experience, that state tournament. And like, she just went after it so hard, that championship game. And she got Fridley in foul trouble early. And that was a big part of it, because she just went at her.
Yeah.
I can't back down from you anymore or anything like that. I have to dictate my game to you instead of it going the other way around.
What were some of those things on that list that you brought up at the dinner?
Oh, shoot. I don't know that I even remember.
Yeah.
That's, and I'm sure I've got it somewhere. I keep everything. I'd have to dig for a
Yeah,
little
you'll
bit.
have to let me know.
You know?
I'm sure that's a great list.
Yeah, but I just said, you guys you got to be on the same page with me. You got to help me do this. And I know you're only going to be around for a year, but you're going to set the foundation. And so, I've shared that with some of them. Hey, you guys had a lot to do with that success of us winning the state championship the next year, because you helped turn it and point it in the right direction and give it a little nudge. And then we kind of went from there. Yeah.
When did Lily Bell come into the picture?
That second year.
Second year.
So that was the year we won it.
So she was an 8th grader as well?
Yeah.
Wow. So your 2 8th graders led you to a state title.
Yes. It was Maggie's second year, Lily's first year with us. And her dad did think of having her come play with us right away as a 7th grader. He wanted to hold off one more year. I respected that. We still wanted her.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
But, and I don't know how things would have been differently for us had she played as a 7th grader. We don't know. But yeah, it was, she didn't start for us until later on in the season. We had her playing both JV and varsity. And then at some point we were like, all right, we got to put her in the starting lineup. Like, she's one of the top scorers in the WTA, and she's not starting for us, and she's still playing JV. And we just wanted to get her as much playing time as possible. You're allowed 3 halves at our level anyway, a night. And we just said, we want you playing 3 halves as much as possible. So you got to play JV. And then all of a sudden we're getting a little grief from a few coaches, get a little pushback on, come on, she's one of the top scorers in WA, and you still got her playing JV. And it's like, you worry about yourself. Well, this is what we got to do, But it was some razzing going on between some of us and the coaches. So it was a good time. But she made an immediate impact.
Yeah, and that was going to also be a question, because I've coached as well. And when you try to bring up those junior high kids, even at the Class B level when I coached, it's tough, because some parents I don't know if they're ready. And as a coach, you want to win, and they can be a pivotal part, and it's like, so when you bring up Fricky as a 7th grader, was there any okay, I don't know? And then there's also probably that thing that you have to look up as a coach and be like, okay, some of these seniors that have been with me, they might get bumped some playing time from a 7th grader, but she's very talented. We're dealing with an all-time talent. Yeah. How did you handle that?
Well, there's always some of the outside noise, and every place I've been, I think I've moved up junior high kids. And if I hadn't done that and been through that experience, I wouldn't have, been as comfortable as I was doing it. I just knew, all right, there's going to be outside noise, and, they're going to be playing over a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, maybe even some seniors. And that was the case. And so, my philosophy had kind of turned where, you want to have your better players be some of the older kids, some of your veterans, but yet at the same time, I'm like, I want our most talented kids playing up at the highest level. And so now, and part of as we were going through it, I'm like, holy smokes, if I can have Maggie for 6 years, by her 5th year, her 6th year, what a huge advantage it is for her, for us. You're always trying to find an edge as a coach, and having as many of those edges as possible. But, Crew Lamore, who's out with an injury right now. We can talk about her a little bit as well. But, this was her 5th year. This is Lily's 5th, will be next year. She'll have been with us 5 years. And Eve Knutson's another one we brought up as an 8th grader. And we've got, Avery Lundy was one. Her 8th grade year, she set the 3-point record for us in our school and in our program. And so, there's always been a little bit of pushback for that, moving those kids up, but it's worked for us. And when you can have them for an extended period, and you bring those young ones up, and we've got some right now that they're watching, this is the way we do things here, and they're watching the leaders of our program and how they work in practice, and seeing the way things are done or how things shouldn't be done. You got to figure out what not to do sometimes too. But for them to come in and see how we're doing things and be here for more than 4 years, we think benefits our program, and our school has allowed us to do that. We're thankful for that and their support, because some schools you can't do it. For instance, like down in Bismarck, they don't allow that, and I know they'd like to do it as well. So it's something we've used to our advantage, and it's worked great for us.
Like Eve Knutson's younger sister, I've noticed she's got some PT. She's going to be really good too.
Yeah, she's
along with Eve.
one of those 8th graders. We got 3 8th graders up with us right now, practicing with our varsity every day, and they're doing very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of practice too, because you kind of see, you said how things are done, how things shouldn't be done, but when you're practicing and you're going against Maggie Fricky or even Eve going against her sister, and that's that bang bang, mentality.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Yeah. And so and we don't have a whole lot of kids either. I told our coaches, I said I can't think what our practices would look like. We've only got 16 in practice. We started with 18, lost 2. But if we didn't have those 3 8th graders, well, we'd have 13 kids in practice, and maybe we'd have to bring up some others, but it definitely wouldn't be as competitive as it is right now. And so it's twofold. It's helping those 8th graders, as well as, them getting an opportunity to gain another year of experience at the highest level that they could. So no, we're pleased on how they're doing and how they're playing. If they weren't with us, I don't know what it would be like. So
yeah, I mean, take us back now to when you win your first state championship, and you've got these young girls, like you just said, you're building up this program. Your first year didn't go how you wanted to, but then boom, right away you win did you win the WDA that year? No,
we got second to Century, and that's the one where we got beat by 20 or 30 or whatever it was. I think it was closer to 30. Yeah.
And so you get beat by 30 in the WDA championship.
And that was the 3rd time that we lost to them during the season. So we always had finished our season playing them last. So we went to their place to finish the season, got smacked pretty good. A week later, we play them in the the WDA championship. And they smack us around again. And then a week later, we play them in the state championship and beat them. So, we lost to them 3 times during, the regular season and then the WDA tournament. And as soon as we won the semifinal game in the state tournament and we're going to the state championship game, and we know we're playing Century, I can't even remember how many games they had won in a row. I think 51. I want to say that number sticks in my head, something like that. So they were on that kind of a winning streak. Yeah. So I went up to the board and I just wrote 51-1. And so I said, yeah, you guys all know they've won 51 in a row. And I said, if I told you at the beginning of the season you could only beat them in 1 game this year, which one would you have picked? I said, well, tomorrow. I said, yeah, okay. And I said, you see that 1 right there? I said, that 1's going to stay there forever if you can hang it. They got 51 in a row, and so anyway, that's kind of where it started. We completely flipped their mindset from, we just won a huge game. We're going to the state championship game. But as soon as they realized, oh my God, we're playing Century. They just smacked us last week by 30. We're going to get embarrassed in the state championship. We couldn't let them think that at all. I had to flip the script immediately and get it focused on, you can do this. And then that's all it was for the next, less than 24 hours. Well, it was about 24 hours, something like a little over 24 hours. I think we played in the afternoon on the semis and then at night on the champ. So it was about 24 hours of just focusing on belief. And that's what did it. And we had, we got several text messages. The kids were getting them. I was getting them, whatever. And so the next day, we go work out at Bismarck State when we're at the WDA tournament and the state tournament when it's in Bismarck. And so we have a shoot around, we have a walkthrough, we go through a few things or whatever. But on that day, I asked them, I said, before we left, I said, is there a classroom that we can go in? I want to meet with the team before we leave. Yeah, sure. So we know exactly where that room is now, and we do it every year. Okay. Oh, nice. But we go in and the kids already know the routine. And so anyway, I'm sitting in the room. This is before the state championship game. We're going to go out to eat right after this. But we had our walkthrough, our shoot around, and kids come walking in. I had no idea because when we got there, they were all just, in their sweats and whatever. And they came walking into the room and they were all dressed up, like looking sharp. We're going to a state championship game. And I was like, all right, these guys are locked in. They're ready to go because they know, just know. So we sat down and I shared with them quite a few of the text messages that I got. And some of the stories or the games that I had in my coaching career where we weren't supposed to be anywhere close to winning a basketball game. And we won. And I tried to share those experiences with, our kids didn't believe either, but that's why you play the game, because you don't always win when you're supposed to, or you don't always lose when you're supposed to either. So that was all motivation for those 24 hours, and it worked. And man, we were so focused and locked in and intense, and we told them it's got to be for the whole game. And there's going to be times where they make runs and they're going to swing the momentum and things are looking bad, and you just got to weather the storm. You got to find a way to just fight through that storm, and all you got to do is just hang with them. And if you can be in the game at the end of the game, you're going to have a chance. So stay with them. Just stay with them. And we did, and now that group, though, that young group, like every year, and these kids are learning this now, like, I don't worry about big games anymore. I worry about the non-big games, so to speak.
The catch-em games, yeah.
Yeah, and because, we're supposed to go to Mandan tomorrow, I'm not too worried. I'm worried about Mandan because I know they're good, but I'm not worried about our kids being ready. They just find a way to be ready for those games, and they get up for them. They know how to be locked in. They know how to focus. They got to work on their focus and the other ones, though.
Yeah.
but it all started there. It started in that postseason where the WDA tournament, we had a little bit of success, but it was kind of the same old. We got beat pretty good. We get to the state tournament, win a game, then we win another game, and confidence is building. And it's kind of always been there since that experience.
I love it. Yeah. So then you move on to your freshman year, or when Maggie, Fricky, and Lily are freshmen. Are you thinking, okay, I've got this good nucleus. I've been set up for success. I've established what I want to establish with this program. Now the wins start coming in, and you're kind of at the top of the totem pole, if you will. Some injuries happen, some things happen. Take us to that freshman year of that good group.
Well, we were, now we've got a target on our back.
Right.
So now that's a different thing to get used to for everybody. And I had somebody tell me, now with that target, you're everybody's Super Bowl. And that's kind of that's what it was like with Bismarck Century, because their girls program, that's what they were. And man, they rose to the occasion every single night. And so for us, we weren't doing that every night, even though, and we still have trouble with that sometimes, where you got to go out and have your A game, because we're finding out that everybody that we play brings their A game against us. And they really are. And so that year, we won the WDA championship, so that was our first one, or my first one as a head coach. Just playing as well as we possibly could after that WDA tournament. And then we go to the state tournament, and there was some upsets in the East. And we got to play Grand Forks Red River right away. And they have an unbelievable zone. And
what kind of zone was it?
It's a 2-3 zone, but they
Is it like really extended up high?
No, it's just aggressive.
Okay.
And that's all they do. That's all they learn. That's all they run throughout their sub-varsity. So that's all they know. So if you can find a way to get them to go man to man, then now you got something. But you got to get a lead, and you got to stretch it a little bit. So anyway, we go to the state tournament, and they were the number 1 seed going into their East tournament. So they should have won that tournament. And now we're both playing in the first round. Right. And that's the year Red River won it. But, we were up at halftime. I forget how much it was, not by a whole lot. Lily's having a really good game, and she only scored 2 the rest of the game, the second half. Yeah. And so they really did a good job on her and made it tough for her. But we had to have other kids step up and make shots for us. And that's how you beat a zone. Like you have to make shots. And we weren't making enough. And so anyway, about the last 9 minutes of the game, we didn't score. And that's how we lost. Now, we did score in the last minute or so, but we had put our subs in, and they put their subs in, and I think we got a bucket or 2. But otherwise, our main group, when we hit 9 minutes, didn't score.
Right.
And so, you're going to have basketball games that happen where your ball's just not going in the hole as much. You got to find other ways to score, to get points. And credit to them, they were very good. They were outstanding.
Well, they beat Minot High boys too that year, right?
Yeah, opening round, we played the same.
Round.
Yeah, and matter of fact, their game was going on the same time ours was. They started just a little bit ahead of us, and yeah, they beat the boys, and then shortly after we fell.
Man.
And we came back, the next 2 games and won the next 2 and played really good basketball. I was feeling really good after that WDA tournament. Our defense was the best it's ever been. And we held them to 40 some or whatever. And like, okay, we should win if we hold them, down. But man, their defense was just, you couldn't get a clean look. We had trouble getting it inside, and shots weren't full because they rush your shots. They come at you so hard and so fast. You try to drive and they're so quick. They close down the driving lane so quick, and you'll turn it over. So they just did everything so well and so solid. And so I was not surprised that they won it that year. So that was the freshman year.
Yeah, and that was tough, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, because we felt really good going into it.
And then fast forward a little bit to your next year. Maggie Fricky last year, she hurts her knee, so now she's out. So then you get Lily Bell to step up, Eve Knutson, Lamore, she's fantastic as well. But you get all these nice pieces to step up, but you fall a little short. But I really want you to tell us, because when we were setting this podcast up, I'm like, man, what question should I ask him? And one of the main questions was, as a coach, when you lose a player like Fricky, yeah, you've got Lily Bell, you've got other nice pieces, but how do the team obviously feels that setback from an injury like that because she's done for the year. How do you get them back up, and how do you get them to keep playing at a good level?
Yeah. Well, that was after our opening round game of the WDA tournament. And, she got hurt, tweaked her knee a little bit in that opening round game on a breakaway layup. I think that's the play. And, she was hurt a little bit at halftime. Our trainer kind of looked at it. She kept playing. And the next morning, her mom calls me right away at 8 o'clock. And I had been up probably since 5 or whatever, but they probably thought, well, he's sleeping in. I don't sleep in. I don't. During the season, I'm up at 4 or 5 every day. Yeah. But she's like, yeah, Maggie's knee is not so good. Can we have the trainer come look at it or whatever? And so I said, yeah, sure. And so I called the trainer, said, hey, can you meet me up at my room? I have one of the suites or whatever, so there's lots of room for her to, get looked at on the table. And so she came up with her mom, and I went out in the hallway, and I looked, and I saw her coming, and she was moving like a snail. And I was like, that's not good. I thought, well, it's going to be, I didn't think it was going to be that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, she's obviously not playing tonight. And so he came and looked at it, and he said, maybe we can have her ready for next week. I said, okay, I'll take that. And this is where we're at right now. So I called our coaches, and Coach Roberts, my assistant, he already knew. I think he'd seen the kids or something down at the breakfast table, and all the kids knew, because I said, yeah, we got to get the team together and let them know about this. And he goes, yeah, they already know.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, all right, let's get together. So I called them together, and I said, you know what? There is no time for us to pout or be sad about this or whatever. We can't. And that's not what Maggie would want you to do either. You got to get locked in and get focused. We're still a good enough team. All right. So I looked at Kinley Barsh, and I said, you're up. You got to take her spot now. And what a phenomenal job that she did. And so, we went on, played really well those next 2 games, and finished up the WDA tournament, won this, the championship. Kinley played really well. Everyone played really well and stepped in. We just said, everybody, you got to do more. And you want to do more. You all want to shoot more. You all want to score more. You all want to be playmakers on defense more. Okay, here's your opportunity. So go do it. And we did. We played really well those next 2 games. But, we go to the state tournament. Kinley Barch has an outstanding opening round game, fills in, and as if Maggie didn't even leave, because Kinley can play some really good defense as well. So she filled in. Maggie's probably was our best defender. So a lot of times we were just like, all right, Maggie, take care of this person tonight. We don't have to worry about him so much.
What a nice thing as a coach to have.
Yeah, absolutely. But then we get to the semifinal game, and we ran into a really hot Bismarck High team that we didn't have too much trouble with during the season. And sometimes you play a team in the postseason if that happens, you just think too much. Well, yeah, we've taken care of business with these guys before, but they were a different team that state tournament, and that's a classic example as well of how you can turn things around in 1 week, because they were very close to getting beat out the week before at WDA tournament. They just weren't playing their best basketball, but a lot of times you don't have to change a whole lot of from one tournament to the next, just change your focus a little bit. And they got hot. All you need to do sometimes in the postseason is just get hot at the right time. You don't always have to be the best team. You just got to be the hottest team. And they definitely were, and they nipped us that night. Started off the game with a lot of confidence, hitting a lot of big shots. They had 2 players really tough to guard. And so Lamore had got hurt in our last practice before the state tournament. She had a thigh bruise, and it was really affecting her. And so she played through it. She's our second best defender. So now we've got her guarding somebody else when the state tournament starts. So you take our top 2 defenders, and we got to have other people on those other scorers. So in that semifinal game, we felt very confident in Barch and Knutson guard. They're really good defenders too. And then both of them get into a little bit of foul trouble. And so it just changed things dramatically for us defensively, and we didn't really do anything to stop them from scoring. And they made everything difficult for us on our offensive end. And they knew everything goes through Lily. And we always had a good backup plan where, all right, Lily is having a tough time getting a bucket. We always got Maggie, and now we needed some of those other people to step up. And it still was a learning process for it. We still, even though we've got a lot of talent, we still were pretty young. Lily last year was a sophomore, and Barch a freshman, and Deshaw came off the bench for us as an 8th grader. Those guys are all playing a lot of minutes, where we were playing a Bismarck High team, juniors and seniors, veteran crew, keeping their cool out there, and I think that makes a lot of difference.
Was the Bear girl a senior? Yeah, she was a really good player.
Yeah, she's at Williston State right now.
Yeah, her dad, fantastic player as well, Hunter. Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to this year, and I thought one of the greatest interviews, and I said this to many people without you sitting in front of me, and so was when PSP interviewed you after Maggie Fricke gets hurt again this year and hurts her knee again. And you came out and you said I don't want to put words in your mouth of what you said, I'll let you explain it, but I thought it was so well put together and fantastic. And I'm like, okay, this guy is going to have this team ready to go. I mean, obviously you have Lily Bell, but you lost Lamore again, and you lose Fricke. And tell us a little bit about that interview, because that was post-game after another big win.
Yeah. Pretty big hit for us.
Yeah.
When Maggie went down, it was, you could kind of tell it wasn't good. And it was in our 3rd game of the season. So she didn't even get 2.5 games in, and was playing amazing, like the best basketball that she's played. I still, once a week, I pull up our shot charts just to see what our percentages are wherever on the floor, and it shows all of our players, and I see Maggie's and I see Cruz there, and every time I'm just like, oh my gosh, because she was shooting 60-some from this spot on the floor, and 60-some. These are threes now. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I look at Cruz and I'm like, she's having an all conference kind of year as well. And so when we lost, the girls, like, they knew right away. She's grabbing her knee. It's not a reaction when she was on the floor that is, well, it's just probably an ankle or something like that. That's not the reaction she had out on the floor. And we kind of, we all knew, and Maggie knew, whatever, all right, this thing's partially tore. Good chance it's going to go, and try not to think about it or talk about it or anything like that. And so anyway, we kind of knew. And then Cruz was a few games after that, not too many. And we're thinking, oh gosh, not the same thing.
How does this happen?
Yeah, and which it ended up being the same thing. Both ACLs, both done for the year. Because even before the game was over, the trainer, I went back there and he's like, yeah, I'm thinking ACL, PCL, something like that. So I went back and I told the coaches, I said, I think we just lost Crew, and our hearts just sank, and not that it's any better for Maggie, but she's got another year. Crew, you're just done. And, we really felt, and we told Carew, we told the team last year after the WDA tournament, and they did the awards, and we had 4 kids get all WDA. It's really hard to get 3 kids all WDA, super hard to get 4, unheard of to get 5. But we told Carew, you should have deserved getting on the all WTA team as well. So congratulations, because you've had as a good a year, as you did, should have got you on that team. If you're on a lot of these other teams, you're, probably their best player, whatever. So just kept thinking, all right, you'll get it next year. And she was having that kind of year as an all conference player. But, once again, we had to get the team refocused on, hey, we're still a pretty good team here, minus, us talking about Lily. Let's look at what else we have here. We have really good basketball players. You have a lot of kids that have put a tremendous amount of time into basketball outside of the basketball season. So you have you've prepared for this. You're ready. Okay. Now it's your opportunity. Their misfortune is your fortune. This is your opportunity to go, and you want to play more. You want to score more. You want to shoot more. You're going to be out on the floor more. Here it is. Here it is for you. So use this to your advantage. And so that's kind of where we had to get them locked in and focused. Like, we're not a crappy team. Even though they're gone, we just would be that much better, but we're still pretty good. And you guys have to realize that. So it's taken some time to adjust to things. Well, you look at Barch and Deshaw were coming off our bench, which now they're in our starting lineup. That's a really good bench. Those 2 players, again, if they were on some other teams, they might be their best player or one of their best players. We're here, they're still really good. So it's been a great opportunity for them. It's given us an opportunity to develop some more kids on our bench, because somebody's got to fill in. All right, our bench players are gone. Who's going to be our bench players now? And so it's been advantageous for them as well to come off the bench and come in and get that opportunity. So we're down to just 1 senior, Sydney Aberley. So otherwise we got everybody back, and we got Maggie coming back to join them next year as well. So although we feel really, really bad for Carew, and I wish she'd have the opportunity to go and play on. I think she's ready to be done and take on the next adventure in life. Maybe she'll change her mind. I don't know. There's time. See if she misses it at all. But having these kids back, getting the experience that they're getting right now, and we got just about everybody back next year, bodes well for them too. But we're not thinking too much ahead of schedule here yet. We still got goals we want to accomplish here this season.
Yeah, and you had a great a goal that was accomplished this year. Lily Bell, 2,000 points. 2,000 points. I mean, that is unheard of. Talk a little bit about Lily and kind of her work ethic and how she's stepped up with all these injuries and all these things that have happened to some of her friends and some of her teammates. And she just kind of keeps her head down and keeps working. And she's developed her game, because everybody looks at Lily Bell and they're like, oh, she must be dominant in the post. No. She's a fantastic outside shooter as well. And her game is so universal. So talk a little bit about Lily and how she's been to coach and how she is as a player.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these colleges that are recruiting that see that she's the all-around player that she is, and they already foresee the matchup nightmare that she is, and she can be that at the next level. She can handle the ball, she can shoot it, she can drive it, and she can play back to the basket. She's versatile. She can put her anywhere on the floor. But yeah, the 2,000 points has been pretty special. Last year she becomes the school's all-time leading scorer as a sophomore. Maggie actually accomplished that right before she did.
That's wild.
Yeah. And then Lily passes her shortly after that. And so, you're kind of looking at, the point totals that in the history of girls basketball at our level with the old Class A, which is now AA. I believe it's 2371. So she's creeping up on that. I think she's got a good shot at getting that yet this year. And then, and I thought that too. I thought, man, if she were to come and play with us as a 7th grader, which is what we were hoping that she would do with Maggie, I was like, these guys can set some records. If you come and play high school basketball for 6 years, I think they can do this. Well, we're there. We're at that point where I think next year Maggie will surpass 2,000. She'll get there. She's at 1,600 some, I think. But yeah, Lily's a couple hundred away from accomplishing that goal, and then we'll see. I think she can get to 3,000. And I think the state's record at the Class B level is 3,400 something, somewhere in the neighborhood of that. But, those are kind of like secondary things for Lily. She's pretty humble, great kid to be around and to coach, and she lets me push her. I think she's used to that. Her dad pushes her pretty good. So she can handle some tough coaching, some hard coaching. She's a great teammate. And her teammates have to be understanding when you have a player like Maggie or like Lily that can do so much. You gotta kind of let them do their thing, but yet at the same, it's such a fine line. You still got to be a team player as well, and you still got to share the ball and those kinds of things. So it's a hard thing. It's a good problem to have, I guess, right? But the sky's the limit for both of them. I'm excited to watch their futures as they progress on beyond high school basketball. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's been fun just to be part of the process and get an opportunity to talk with the coaches that are recruiting both of them. And now they're starting to see a few other players in our program as well, that comes with the territory. And it's going to give some of our other kids some opportunities as well.
What'd you think of Ricky sign with UND?
Loved it. They were the first ones on board. They were the first ones to contact me and then her. And Maggie even said it herself in the statement that she put out, that they were the first ones to start showing interest in her. And so Maggie's just a great kid and the kind of kid that, if you give me some of your time and you think that I'm valuable, I'm going to give that and reciprocate that back to you. And so, she went to their camp so that they get a little bit of a look at her and work her out a little bit. And so it's a good move for her. I know she was thinking about going to both, either UND or NDSU, and I think this is a good spot for her.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for her in that journey.
No, I mean, I'm excited too, and even to find out where Lily's going to go, I think the whole state is really excited for that. But that brings us to now the WDA tournament, and you guys right now at the top. But just like you mentioned, anything could happen during this tournament to try to get to state. There's just like the boys side of it, anything can happen with that side too. Yeah. But when this comes out, it'll be right before the WDA tournament. So give us kind of your points of emphasis and what the Lady Majettes are going to have to do to win a WDA championship.
Well, I think first and foremost, we just have to play as hard as we can every game. And maybe it's a little cliche or other coaches are saying the same things about their team. But, there's times where we've gone out on the floor this year and in any given game where I don't feel like we've played as hard as we possibly can. We play hard. There's a difference. There's a difference. When we play at our highest level and we push our limits, that's when you see us play our best basketball. And it's hard. It's a grind. The season's a grind. You're going to school. You got semester tests. You get sick. There's sickness going through the team. You got practice every day. Coach is pushing you. He's grinding you every day. It catches up to you, and they're still kids, 14, 15, 16 years old and so on. But, making that adjustment, being a high school player or a varsity player, and going through that experience like I said, it can be a grind. And so there's times where you've got mental lapses and they're finding out what a big mental part of it, because a lot of times when they go work out with their trainers or they're going to play travel basketball or whatever it is, those are all the physical side of things. But there's emotional side of it and there's mental side of it. And if you're not locked in, ready to go mentally, like all that physical stuff just doesn't come out the way that it should. So that's a learning process for all of us, for all the teams, for all the coaches, and to figure those things out. And we've had a little bit of adversity to go through as well, but so is everybody. Everybody's going through some kind of adversity at some point or another. It's just how are you going to respond to it? So we got to be locked into playing how do we play our best basketball? And it starts with, all right, we have to play as hard as we possibly can, because we find out that things seem to go our way a little bit more. Why is that? And well, it's because we're playing really, really hard, and we're putting our talent to use. We've got a lot of talent here. And so we can't just rely on that. Let's combine talent with hard work. And we do. Every game we've played hard, but we haven't played our hardest every game. And so that's something we've had to really get locked in on. Oh, okay, now I see what you mean, Coach. Defensively is something we've been really stressing ever since we won that state championship, because we showed our kids, hey, that made a difference for us. So it's got to make a difference for us this year and then next year and so on. So that has to be a staple for us. It has to be an identity for us, and it has been. So we've tried a few different things defensively this year, knowing that, all right, if teams are going to try to take away Lely, they're going to make things tough for us on the offensive end. We're going to have one of those games where it's tough to score, because we've had that the last couple of years. And we still got to find a way to win. So we got to do other things to create points for ourselves. It can't just be, well, Lely's going to score, or we're just going to knock down a bunch of threes. Well, what if those two things aren't going our way that night? What else are we going to do? So finding other ways to create opportunities for ourselves, whether it be through a press, whether it be through defense, doing different things defensively, changing things up a little bit, and getting more kids involved in our offense as well. Yeah. So there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot on your plate, but I mean, when you take us to the locker room, when you're about to kick off at WDA, what's going to be your message other than, hey, defense, but what's going to be like your rah come to speech when you kick off at WDA?
Well, I think what we've been focused on here lately is killer instinct. Like, you look back the last couple years, if we come out and we're playing our best basketball right away, and we can get ourselves a little bit of a lead, and then we start to stretch it a little bit, like, we find out that we're good enough where we can put somebody away early. Like, we can do that. And that's within our control. But we've got to do this and that. We got to be locked in our assignments defensively. We got to have the proper matchups. We got to make sure we're communicating defensively. Or if we're not, then the other team's they're going to start the game. Maybe they've got a lead. Maybe they start stretching their lead. They start the game with some confidence. We don't want them to get going. We don't want their shooters to get going. If they do, all right, now they've got a little bit of confidence. Like, okay, I think we can hang around with the same thing we were trying to do when we were trying to flip our program around. Like, all right, let's see if we can compete with these teams. How long can we stay in the game? Can we be in the game at the end of the game? Well, these teams are trying to do the same thing to us now. And so there's a lot that goes into it right away from the beginning of the game. And that's not the whole game, but the more we can start games being on our game and on point, the smoother it seems to go for us. So, every team wants to do the same thing. We want to come out, we want to be hitting shots right away, and things are going smooth for us right away. And as the opponent, you're trying to disrupt that. And so killer instinct is one thing that we were really locked in on the other night against Minot North. We got to come out gangbusters. We got to be playing as hard as we possibly can, because that's going to create things for us. And it did. We got steals in our press. We got steals in our half-court defense, turned into transition points, some quick baskets. And then our confidence just kind of rolled from there. And so I think we're trying to get our kids to think that, we're not thinking about Maggie or Lily anymore. This is our team now, and we're really good. We're pretty good. So we can do these things. We can control things right from the tip. But what we don't want are some of those games where we just think all we got to do is show up and things will take care of themselves, and we're not playing our best. We're not playing as hard as we can, and we're not really locked in to what we need to do and what's our assignments. But then again, it goes back to what I said earlier. I'm not too worried about how our kids play in those big games and those big moments. They've shown me, all right, are we tournament ready yet? And what do we still have to fix before that time comes?
I love it, Jason. That's great. Believe it or not, we've been at this for right around an hour already. Swim Lessons, a podcast about overcoming tough times. What do you personally, when you're kind of your back's against the wall, the chips aren't falling your way, what do you say to yourself to get over those tough times?
Well, it's the same thing that I share with the kids. I feel like the tough times or the tough things I had to deal with as an athlete when I was their age helped me with all the tough things that I've had to go through as an adult. And I tell them those same things. Yeah, all right, this drill might be tough. This practice might be tough. This opponent might be tough. Whatever tough things you're going through in life, it's going to help you. And I try to tell them that you being involved in athletics and being part of this team and get involved in as many athletic programs as possible or play other sports so that you're going through all of those things. There's so much to learn, and going back to that interview that you mentioned, I think one of the things I mentioned in there was there's a lot of things that you can experience on an athletic team that you can't experience in a classroom, the life lessons that you learn. And so that's what I look back on. I had some really good coaches, my football coach, my basketball coach. They had tough practice with. They made sure we were going to be in excellent condition, right? Both of them always said we're going to be the best conditioned team, and I feel like we were. And that was really hard and that was really tough. And I was one of those ones. I wanted to win every drill. I wanted to win every race. I wanted to win every ladder that we ran. And I won most of them, but sometimes it didn't. It bothered me. And that's the kind of competitor that I was. But it was really hard and it was really tough. And, some of the games were, those are all tough experiences that just has built, that ability to get through some of those things when you deal with them later on in life. And that's what I'm trying to share with these guys as well. Like, whether a kid's having a tough stretch, a tough game, like, as a matter of fact, that was my quote at practice today. I share a quote every day, and the one I shared today was, tough times don't last, tough people do. And that's something, that's something that you need to have ingrained in your brain, that we all have those. We all have those. So you're going to get through it. Time will pass, so no, it's been a great experience being here at Minot High. I've absolutely loved it. We've got great kids. We've got great parents. Just a great circle around us to set us up for the success that we've had.
Just give us a quick plug right now where people can follow your girls' basketball team.
We are a lot on PSP.
Yeah, shout out PSP. Everybody's got to buy that package. We got to get that out. Yeah.
Yes. No, that's been great. We've been so fortunate within our league and all the area schools. I wish it was there when I was in high school.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah.
But we're Majettes basketball on Instagram and also on Facebook. We're probably on Twitter out there somewhere. I don't have much to do with any of them. I can't keep up with my own stuff, but I scroll through it a little bit as well. And so, that's how you can get in touch with us. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, Jason. Good luck the rest of the way. I look forward to watching your girls play.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.